So if you want your predictions, you've come to the right place, because we are going to start that right now. Summon the Spectre. What's good, y'all? Welcome to episode 13 of the Spectreverse podcast. I'm your host, JariSpectre, and this right here is none other than the Spectreverse. Thank you all for joining me on this Wednesday, wherever you may be watching or listening from. WrestleMania is finally upon us this weekend, this Saturday and Sunday, live from Las Vegas. We got some matches, we got a card, and today we are going to discuss my personal thoughts and opinions on the entire build for each match. We're going to touch upon who I believe is going to be the winners and the losers on this weekend's WrestleMania card, and the reasoning behind why I'm choosing who I'm choosing. So if you want those predictions, you've come to the right place. And I want to thank you guys once again for joining me on the Spectreverse podcast, episode 13. We are slowly yet surely working our way up on building this channel. I think we've done a great job thus far, and this is only just the beginning. What we're starting here, we're just scratching the surface on what we can possibly do, and I want to thank each and every one of you for tuning in. You guys killed it. Absolutely killed it with last week's episode, my personal journey so far in pro wrestling, talking about the story and the creation of the Spectre Jaden Mercer, the original Spectre Jaden Mercer. And I want to thank you guys for giving me love and support on that. If we can keep that momentum going, that would be greatly appreciated. You guys can follow me on all social media platforms. That's Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at JariSpectre. And you guys can also follow the Spectreverse page on Facebook at the Spectreverse. I believe I changed the name on the Facebook page to the Spectreverse Show. Same thing applies, but just a quick little name change. I want to emphasize that this is the show specifically, and that's why I did that. If you guys are a fan of what you see, please feel free to hit the like button, hit that subscribe button, turn on the bell for notifications. We upload a weekly podcast every Wednesday. Like I said, this is episode 13. We're just starting out, and we've been killing it. Absolutely killing it. Usually, I would say probably sometime next month, I'm going to get back into live streaming some video games, hanging out with you guys, the viewers, and shooting the shit, having fun. But we're going to wait a little while on that. Because it is WrestleMania week, and night 1 and night 2 are this Saturday and Sunday, I am announcing that I will officially be going live as soon as night 1 is done on Saturday night, and we're going to cover the show from start to finish on Saturday. So please feel free to tune in this Saturday as soon as WrestleMania is over. Come check out here. Come hang out with us. It's going to be a lot of fun. And then same thing for Sunday night. As soon as night 2 is done, come right here. Give my thoughts and opinions on the show. We'll talk about it from the wrestler's brain, from my eyes, from what they told me as I watched the show. And we're going to have some fun. We'll shoot the shit with you guys. It's going to be a great time. We love WrestleMania season. However, we don't love the booking that it has been as of late. And we're going to touch upon that here in just a little bit. But before we jump into the WrestleMania stuff, I am recording this on Monday, and AEW Dynasty was yesterday, last night. I did not buy the pay-per-view, one specifically just because I personally didn't feel like it was worth the $40 to spend back-to-back as quickly as Revolution was done. I just didn't view it as worthy enough for that kind of money, and I wouldn't be doing the Spectreverse justice if I left AEW off of this podcast this week. So we are going to be covering it very, very quickly. I did keep notes and highlights from the match. I was up to date with everything, but I did not actually watch it. And so I'm just going to quickly go over the results. The pay-per-view itself, it was really good. However, it's still the same issues from what I've seen with AEW and as far as the matches they produce. Granted, they got hit with the injury bug like Kyle Fletcher having to vacate the TNT title, which we'll talk about. And just the matches. Not the matches themselves are not the problem. It's the amount of matches that's the problem. And so we're just going to quickly run through these. We'll start with the Young Bucks ended up beating Kazuchika Okada and Konosuke Takeshita. It's a very, very fun match. Obviously, this is going to lead to the big blow between Okada and Takeshita. Ricochet ended up beating Chris Jericho last night. Jericho looked great. For a guy who's in his mid-50s, he was absolutely killing it out there, so shout out to Chris Jericho. But Ricochet ended up getting the win. Darby Allin defeated Andrade for a future AEW World title shot, so obviously Darby Allin will be fighting MJF tonight for the AEW title. FTR ended up retaining against Adam Copeland and Christian Cage for the tag titles. It was a very solid match, but obviously they're not going to throw the titles onto Cope and Christian this quick. Willow Nightingale cut a promo on Camille. Kevin Knight ended up winning the Casino Gauntlet to become the brand new TNT champion. There was a lot of really fun spots and a lot of worthy wrestlers to be in this gauntlet. And they pulled the trigger on Kevin Knight, so shout out to Kevin. He's honestly, like I said in previous podcasts, he's underrated as hell. And I'm curious to see what this reign is going to look like. Tekla ended up retaining against Jamie Hayter. Moxley ended up beating Will Ospreay to retain the Continental Championship. I feel like that's the right call. I am kind of curious to see how long this is going to last. I feel like it's probably going to lead to the United Empire versus the Death Riders at Blood and Guts. That's just my personal opinion. And then we had MJF defeating Kenny Omega to retain the AEW World Heavyweight Championship. This match was phenomenal. Like I said, all these matches were really, really solid. It's just the amount of matches they need to cut down drastically. Because if you were to shave off like an hour 15 or like take 2 or 3 of these matches off and put them on Dynamite, then not only does that elevate your Dynamite shows, but it makes the pay-per-views less painful to sit through. And especially when coming off of Revolution, and it's only been like 3 weeks, this is not enough time to build towards an actual pay-per-view that people are willing to spend a good chunk of change on. I feel like if they would have waited a little bit longer, probably would have been a different story. But that's just my personal opinion. Overall, it was still a really good show, but there are still a lot of issues that AEW needs to address, and I feel like hopefully going into the summer months, a lot of those questions get answers. But with that out of the way, it is now time for our WrestleMania 42 preview and predictions. I will say, the build towards this year's WrestleMania has got to be probably, in my personal opinion, it's got to be up there as one of the worst overall builds towards a WrestleMania I think I have ever seen. Like, I even put last year's better than this year, and last year's wasn't that good either. The only bright spot with last year's was John Cena's heel turn. That was really about it. And then obviously we had Roman and Seth and Punk in that amazing triple threat match. But outside of that, there's not much that I can, rattle off the top of my head where I was like, oh yeah, I loved that build. There really wasn't anything. So this year is very much the same way, if not worse. I will say, some of the matches, I think the build has been really, really good, if not perfect. But a lot of these matches, the build has been rather subpar, below mid, or just downright god-awful, like the WWE title picture. And we're going to touch upon that right now. Night 1. The first hour will be live on ESPN2. And the show is going to open with the 6-man tag match between iShowSpeed and The Vision versus the Usos and LA Knight. This feud has been going on for almost an entire year, if not what feels like to be longer. I'm glad and I hope to God that this is the last time we see any of these combinations of characters inside the same ring, because this is ridiculous. There's only one outcome that I can see being feasible at this point, and it's the Usos and LA Knight beating the Vision. The titles are not on the line, so that won't hurt them. But there's only one way for this to end, and that's with the baby faces getting the win. So give me the Usos and LA Knight. I could honestly care less about where anybody goes forward in this. I don't care about the Vision as the tag champs. I don't care about the Usos. And I don't care about LA Knight, because what they've done with LA Knight, granted, he's very over, but he's been kind of a botch machine, and I think his confidence is messing with him. And as a wrestler, confidence is everything. If you can go out there and be confident, even if you stink up the joint, then it doesn't hurt nearly as bad. But you can tell his confidence is rattled because he wants to be that guy, but for whatever reason, he's in his own head, and that's where the botches are starting to come out. And I think that's actually halting his momentum. So I'm hoping for the best, but give me the Usos and LA Knight to win this one. Next match we have is an unsanctioned match between Drew McIntyre and Jacob Fatu. Now, this build has actually been pretty damn good. I'll be completely honest. I feel like the build for this match has been exactly what it needs to be. Granted, the entire scenario as to how we got here is a little bit up in the air and can throw up a few questions, considering Drew was the WWE champion right after Elimination Chamber, so we were thinking he was going to be in the WWE title picture, and then how quickly that changed and completely was fumbled. We'll get there in a little bit. But Jacob Fatu, returning from injury, he's been firing on all cylinders, and he's out for blood with Drew McIntyre. However, we still have not gotten an answer as to who originally attacked Jacob Fatu. And with the stipulation of it being unsanctioned, both men are going to look good, whether someone wins or someone loses. We all know what Drew McIntyre can bring to the table. We all know what Jacob can bring to the table. It's just a matter of who do they want to steal the win. I think, personally, it's going to end up being Drew, because if WWE is smart, they will have the original attacker show themselves. Do I think that's going to happen? No. I don't think WWE is that smart. But if they were, they would have the original attacker show face and cost Jacob Fatu this match. But I don't think that's going to happen, and I think Drew is going to get real slimy, and he's going to find a way to win this one. So give me Drew McIntyre to beat Jacob Fatu. The next match we have is a fatal 4-way tag match for the women's tag team titles. We got Charlotte and Alexa Bliss versus Nia Jax and Lash Legend versus Bayley and Lyra Valkyria versus the Bella Twins. Now, this feud, I wouldn't even call this a feud. This has just been people in tag teams that have just wanted shots at the tag team titles, and it's just been an intertwining of all 4 teams. There really isn't much of a story other than the matches that we've gotten throughout the past 2 months, which granted, a lot of those matches have been lackluster, to say the least. With the Bella Twins, I believe Nikki is the one that's dealing with a hurt ankle, so she is questionable going into WrestleMania, and there were some talks about the Kabuki Warriors might end up taking that spot if she's not ready to go. It's WrestleMania. I'm assuming she's just going to power through it. They might keep her very limited considering it's a tag match. We'll wait and see. But honestly, I don't think it's going to matter. I think the winner boils down to two different teams. First one is Bayley and Lyra, mainly just because they need to elevate those women's tag titles, and I think Bayley and Lyra are probably the best workers that we got right now in that division. So that would be a great way to elevate said titles. Otherwise, my prediction, I would have Charlotte, Flair, and Alexa Bliss win those tag team titles. And here's why. You have them win it because they have done, I'll be honest, an exceptional job with the storyline of Charlotte and Alexa being friends and how nobody has bought it. And this would be their shining moment and their big payoff of telling this almost like Team Hell No-esque story where they didn't want to be tag partners and they eventually ended up working it out. And I honestly, the story writes itself. And if you want a nice feel-good moment, this would be your perfect opportunity to do it. I think it's great for Alexa and it's great for Charlotte because at any point you can have a different tag team that's ready, take the titles off of them if you're looking to elevate your higher up main card for the women. But this is a great spot for her right now, mainly just because she's been doing some of the best work of her entire career right now. So I would pick Charlotte and Alexa to win the tag team titles. Next match we got is AJ Lee versus Becky Lynch for the Women's Intercontinental Championship. This match and this feud has actually been kind of a sleeper. It's kind of had its up and down moments. It's very much like a roller coaster. But the story of this is just the hatred between these two women. And it started last year at WrestlePalooza when AJ Lee and CM Punk ended up beating Seth Rollins and Becky, which then boiled into the Women's War Games match, which then led to AJ Lee versus Becky for the IC title at Elimination Chamber. And for all three of those matches, AJ Lee has had the one-up against Becky, which makes me think there's only one right outcome here, and that's to have Becky get back her Intercontinental Championship, mainly just because otherwise it's going to become too lopsided, obviously. But the other reason is, I don't even know, is AJ Lee technically a full-timer or is she technically a part-timer? In my mind, she is a part-timer. And putting the title back on Becky, like, you can still integrate AJ in any way, shape, or form. And hell, if you need to bump her up to the main card, now would be your time to do it. I think Becky has done a great job holding down the Intercontinental division. And I think that if they need to move AJ up, that's completely fine. But I think Becky deserves to win back the Women's Intercontinental Championship. So give me Becky Lynch. Speaking of Becky Lynch, her husband also has a match at WrestleMania. It is Seth Rollins versus Gunther. This match has been thrown together so quickly, and it's because both competitors originally were supposed to have two different opponents, but both opponents ended up getting injured. Seth being with Braun Breaker, and Gunther presumably was supposed to go against Rey Mysterio. And I'm presuming to be some sort of career-ending match. But obviously, that's not what Rey Mysterio wants. And considering they were both injured and had no idea when they were going to get cleared, obviously you can't do it. So this match, I know for a fact it's going to be one of the show stealers. You look at a card and you see Seth Rollins versus Gunther, you know what you're expecting. You're expecting one hell of a match. And that's exactly what I'm expecting. The story of this really is now, it went from Seth Rollins wanting the world title and to kill the Vision to Gunther almost doing a favor for Paul Heyman because Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed are out. So the story really isn't much of anything. I think the wrestling fans are smart enough where they're just like, we're just glad to see Gunther on WrestleMania because as of right now, he did not have an opponent officially. And so this is a great spot to throw them in. You know for a fact this match is going to steal the show, at least for night one. As far as who deserves to win it, think there's only one answer, and it's got to be Gunther. You can't retire Goldberg, Cena, and AJ Styles and expect your momentum to get stopped by Seth Rollins. I think he needs to continue that momentum going into this year to eventually rebuild himself back up to the world title picture. Obviously, we think, or at least I personally think, Seth Rollins is going to get a shot towards the summer, or at least the end of the summer. But as far as keep building up Gunther, maybe you can have Gunther win Money in the Bank, and then he has a guaranteed title shot whenever he chooses. I feel like that would be perfect for him. So give me Gunther to win this match. Seth Rollins will have his hands full, and I'll kind of touch upon that the more we continue. The next match we have is the WWE Women's World Championship. We have Liv Morgan versus Stephanie Vaquer. This storyline has been, I want to say, partially a little underwhelming, but when they delivered, they delivered. So it's kind of just been like that middle of the road. I would say a little bit better than just mid. It's been all right. The story of this match really just boils down to Liv Morgan won the Royal Rumble, and she had such a hard time choosing who she wanted to wrestle at Mania. And then it made it abundantly clear when Stephanie kind of just was low-key taking shots at her, and then Liv snapped, and now they're just in this bloodbath of a feud, which I think is going to continue going into the summer months. So, with that being said, I think both women are going to kill it. We know what they're capable of, but I think WrestleMania Night 1 is going to be Liv Morgan's big crowning moment when she beats Stephanie Vaquer to become the new Women's World Champion. And then for the main event of Night 1, WrestleMania 42, we have the WWE Championship. We have Cody Rhodes, and what I'm presuming to be Jelly Roll in his corner, versus Randy Orton with Pat McAfee in his corner. You remember when I said that some of these match builds have been some of the worst that I've ever seen? This is the prime example. How does WWE take the history between Randy Orton and Cody Rhodes and they completely shove it right down the drain, flush it down the toilet, clog the toilet, start pumping it numerous times over and over again to now the stench smell, so they throw up in it, and now you just got a bigger pile of garbage. That's what this feud has been. And it shouldn't have been that way. It was off on the right track to begin with. You had Randy Orton, you had Cody Rhodes. Cody beat Drew after losing the Elimination Chamber, which make fucking sense. So Cody beats Drew, and Randy Orton was the original winner of the Chamber. So there's your match. Everybody's just like, yes, this is exactly what we wanted. Finally, we're finally going to get it. And it was off to a great start. Randy Orton turned heel on Cody, but he was still getting cheered. And he wanted his legacy to be about number 15. But they ruined this storyline and the storytelling that makes pro wrestling special by adding in Pat McAfee to be the quote-unquote savior of pro wrestling, which is fucking beyond my own comprehension. Because Pat McAfee, now granted, he's a great talk show host. He does great with his sports and his college football and all of that fun stuff. But he's not a professional wrestler. Why couldn't Kevin Owens fill the spot? Why are we substituting a guy like Pat McAfee to do this fucking garbage, and now we're pushing the celebrity agenda to try and sell tickets because WWE, all they want to do is essentially just milk the pockets of every single consumer of this product, which, like the most fans are, they're fucking smart enough to not give them their money. This feud has taken 50 years of history, and they flushed it away for, hey, we need your guys' money to sell tickets. Well, maybe, like Punk said, maybe if you wouldn't show how much money these tickets are, it's almost worth more than my fucking car, which is ridiculous. And I have a pretty nice car. I'll give it to myself. I'll pat myself on the back. I have a pretty nice car. But fuck, that's how we're going to do pro wrestling in 2026? Like, this is disgraceful. It's absolutely disgusting and complete fucking garbage. Now, as far as who wins this, there's only one answer. And it's Randy Orton. Randy Orton is going to be the new WWE champion, and he's going to get crowned with number 15. How does this play into anything? I feel like if they're smart, they're going to just eventually get rid of the celebrity garbage going into SummerSlam to give us what we should have gotten this weekend. But we know they're not going to do that. They're going to give us this with the celebrity interactions because it's WrestleMania and we need to put more asses in seats because they can't tell a good fucking story for night 1 or night 2 to cover both shows. So what they're going to do is they're going to have this happen. There's going to be some sort of fuck finish, and then it's going to lead to Jelly Roll and Cody Rhodes versus Pat McAfee and Randy Orton at Backlash. Which is fucking stupid. It's stupid. All of this whole, how is your main event this stupid? How? I genuinely, I was so happy that I stopped watching SmackDown because it was getting so bad. And I know for a fact, it's not just because I wanted to, it's because I know I can do better things with my life than sit down and watch this fucking garbage. I can wait till I'm done wrestling and done busting my ass to get back into the ring to be this full-time content creator. But in the meantime, I'm going to live my life and I'm going to do things that enjoy me and not sit down and watch fucking SmackDown if this is what they're going to give me. But Randy Orton's going to walk out with number 15, and that's the only right outcome. That's night 1. On to night 2. I feel like night 2 is going to wipe night 1 with the fucking floor. The first hour is going to be live on ESPN. Not ESPN2, not ESPN Deportes. It's going to be ESPN, the flagship ESPN. And the match that's going to open the show has been the best build in all of these matches for WrestleMania. And that is Brock Lesnar versus Oba Femi. This started when Brock Lesnar came out on a random Monday night in the middle of March and said he was the one that retired The Undertaker how many years ago at WrestleMania. And now he's going to send out an open challenge to defend and almost create a streak of his own. And whoever wanted to answer said streak or said challenge would get a match against Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania. Out comes Oba Femi. And by God, WWE has gold sitting right in the palm of their hands. Oba Femi is that guy. He is going to be the next Brock once Brock decides to hang it up. Who do I think is going to win this? I've genuinely sat and thought about this. So who do I think is going to win this? And I've actually sat and I thought about it to myself and I said, Oba Femi has looked great thus far. Absolutely great. But because he's looked so good in this build, does that mean that WWE is going to give the win to Brock Lesnar? And I actually do see that happening. I do see where Brock Lesnar does beat Oba because Oba Femi is now a bona fide star. But WWE would be stupid if they did not give the win to Oba. You want to build and solidify a star who is as good as Oba Femi is at being just this larger than life figure, the next Brock Lesnar, This is the moment where you finally put the nail in the coffin and you say, yes, this is the new guy. So, do I see Brock winning? Yes. Do I want him to win? No. I want Femi to win. Just like everybody else, because Oba's fantastic. So give me Femi to win. The next match we got, live on ESPN, will be a 6-man ladder match for the Men's Intercontinental Championship. We got Dragon Lee, we got Rusev, we got Rey Mysterio, we got JD McDonagh, we got Javon Evans, and then we have the champion, Penta. This match is going to be a crash course. There's going to be a lot of wicked spots. There's, I think, 4 out of the 6 guys in this match are high flyers, so you know some crazy shit's going to happen, and it's going to be awesome. There's only 2 people I see actually winning this, however, and that is Javon Evans, who that would be a nice little feather in the cap for him since he is so young, and he's been absolutely killing it. But if you give it to Javon, what does that mean for Penta? And Penta just won the title, and he's been absolutely killing it consistently for WWE. And I feel like that wouldn't be fair to Penta to get rid of the title that quickly. So with that being said, I feel like Penta's going to end up retaining strictly just for that reason. There's no other reason other than he just won the title. Let's not take it off of him this quick. Next match we got, it's the Men's United States Championship. We got Sami Zayn versus Trick Williams. Now, I know the roles are supposed to be reversed in this. Trick is supposed to be the heel, and Sami is supposed to be the babyface. However, the roles are completely the exact opposite. Sami is getting booed on television, and Trick is being treated as a hero. Because Trick is that damn good, he's that damn entertaining, and he's that guy. WWE has another gem in Trick Williams if they book him properly. Why Carmelo Hayes is not in this match is beyond my control. I feel so bad for the guy because it's just like you busted your ass night in and night out with the US title, putting on the best matches on both Raw and SmackDown, and now you're being snubbed off the WrestleMania card. Like, that pisses me off as a fan. And there's no other way that I can see this going other than the only way Sami Zayn wins is if he does something dirty. But I don't think they're going to do that. I think they give the title to Trick. So, I think Trick Williams walks out of WrestleMania as the new United States champion. Next match we have is the WWE Women's Championship. We got Jade Cargill versus Rhea Ripley. This feud has sucked ass. It's been horrible. It's just been downright awful. There's not much I can really invest my time nor my effort in to a Jade Cargill and Rhea Ripley feud. Rhea's great. Jade is passable. But their interactions have been so bad. I'll just be completely honest. I feel like a lot of it has just been script writing garbage instead of it actually like feeling real and feeling genuine. So that's why I really could give 2 shits about this. And even with having B-Fab and Michin by her side, I don't think it makes that much of a difference. It doesn't make Rhea an underdog. It's just, there's nothing there. There's nothing for me to really care about, which is sad. It really is sad. But the only outcome I can see really being feasible is if Jade's going to take some time off, then you give it to Rhea. But if not, I would say you have Jade Cargill beat Rhea Ripley. Even with the help of Io Sky, it ends up not being enough. Jade continues her reign of terror, and that's where you have Bianca Belair come back. But if Bianca is not cleared, please, for the love of God, put the title on Rhea Ripley because this is garbage. It's so bad. And I hate saying that, but it really is that bad. The next match we got is the turmoil with the Judgment Day. We got Finn Balor versus Dominic Mysterio. And Finn Balor, obviously, I know he's going to be mad that the Demon was announced prior to WrestleMania, but we are getting the Demon at WrestleMania. And there's no other possible or feasible way to do it. Finn Balor's going to beat Dominic Mysterio. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. It's the Demon, and if you want to treat Finn Balor right, you have him win at WrestleMania. And if they want to continue this into the summer, they sure as hell can, because nobody's going to bat an eye. But Finn Balor beats Dominic Mysterio. And in the main event of night 2 for WrestleMania 42, we have the World Heavyweight Championship. We have CM Punk versus Roman Reigns. I know for a fact this match is going to be great. This match is going to be awesome. Just like Finn and Dominic is going to be awesome. Just like the ladder match is going to be awesome. Just like Brock and Oba is going to be awesome. This match has the potential to be the saving grace of WrestleMania. And the feud, I will say there's still a few question marks left on it. Would I have done things a little differently? Of course I would have. But overall, the feud has had the tension and the intensity that it's needed to have. And there's really not much else for either men to do. And so the question is now, who wins the World Heavyweight Championship? If we're going off of the premise that Randy Orton and Pat McAfee want to save pro wrestling, I could see them getting involved in this match and costing CM Punk the World Heavyweight Championship, along with the Usos alongside with them, and having Roman Reigns be the new World Heavyweight Champion, just to then make the title become part-time, just like he is, because he is a part-timer. However, I feel like if that is the case, you know there's going to be more people involved, and that's where you're going to get Cody Rhodes coming out. Same with Jelly Roll to try and even the odds, and it's honestly just going to become some sort of schmaz fest that leads to the finish. So do I see a world where Punk retains? Yes. Do I see a world where Roman Reigns wins the World Heavyweight Championship? Yes. I don't think you can go wrong with either outcomes as long as they keep it within the match and there's nobody else involved. But it's WWE we're talking about here. It's TKO we're talking about here. And so I know some fuck shit is going to happen, and that doesn't make me happy. But if I were booking this, I would have the Usos at least come out to try and aid their cousin, but it backfires on them in some way, shape, or form, which leads to CM Punk retaining the World Heavyweight Championship and then carrying on this being the fighting champion all the way until SummerSlam. Hell, you could probably, if you wanted to, go even a little further, because right now, CM Punk is the MVP of WWE as of right now, within the first 4 months of 2026. So I don't see that momentum stopping for him anytime soon. And then if WWE is smart, depending on where Braun Breaker is in all of this, because I do feel like Braun Breaker should be involved in some sort of fashion with the Gunther Seth Rollins match. If that is the case, you can either send Seth Rollins off to do that, and you can have CM Punk versus Gunther 2 at SummerSlam, or you can have CM Punk versus Seth Rollins at SummerSlam for the World Heavyweight Championship. Either way, I don't think anybody would be complaining about either of those scenarios as long as the story and the creative is done properly. That's really about it. But as far as who do I think is going to win on night 2, my heart is telling me that it's going to be Roman, but my gut and my head is telling me that CM Punk should retain the World Heavyweight Championship, and I'm going to go with my head. I think CM Punk is, in fact, going to retain at WrestleMania. And I hope to God, I pray to the heavens above that WWE can try to rid itself of all of this TKO garbage that it has been for the past month now. Because whatever they've been doing has been killing their product. It's been an infection and a cancer. And they need to cut that shit out immediately. So has this WrestleMania lived up to the hype? No, it is not. Does it have the potential in ring to be WrestleMania worthy? Yes, it does. If we're talking from an in-ring standpoint, yes, it does. It's the story as to how they got there. And when you have people with tons of money that don't know a lick about writing stories, this is what you get. And it sucks. If Triple H had full creative control, I guarantee this build would have looked a million times different. But that's just my 2 cents on all of it. But I'm really excited to at least come on here with you guys right here on the Spectreverse to talk all things WrestleMania once it's all said and done. Like I said, I am going to be live on this channel after night 1 and after night 2. And we're going to talk all things about both nights. We're going to break everything down, and we're going to have a damn good time while doing it. So you don't want to miss that. It's going to be Saturday night and Sunday night. Come tune in, come hang out, and we would love to have you stick around. And the best way you can do that is by hitting that subscribe button, turning on the bell, giving this video a like, leave a comment on who you think is going to win these matches at WrestleMania. And until this weekend, we'll see you guys next time. Peace out.
Summon the Spectre.